Alright everyone, welcome back to my series on how to speedrun Zack and Wiki, and in this part I'll be going over the 4th level, Flute of the Growlin Goblins. Now because this level introduces cycles, it does have some differences between its 80% NIL routes, but it's only on the very first cycle, so I'll go over the level once from the IL perspective, and I'll just point out the difference when we get there. Due to this level being a bit longer than the others, having cycles that you need to make in order to remain on pace and having some slightly harder movements, I've given this level a difficulty rating of 3 out of 10, making it a bit harder than the previous levels we've covered thus far. Now let's get right into it. Okay, so let's head over to the boards, and we're going to head over to Flute of the Growlin Goblins. I'll open up this video. Okay, now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to head up to the gondola, but there's going to be a cut. So this level, unlike some of the other ones, has 2 cutscenes to skip. So you have the initial cutscene showing everything, and then it's going to zoom in on Wiki and he's going to talk, and you're going to skip that as well. Next, what you want to do is you want to aim your remote to the top of the screen where the gondola is, and just press on that once, like that. It's got a pretty large hitbox, and then once you arrive there, get ready to press minus to skip another cutscene, and then have your remote aimed for the very center of the screen to press on the gondola again. Now, from here, the game instructs you to rotate it like this, holding the remote on the side. But what I like to do instead is I actually like to have it straight and move it that way, similar to the drilling motion in the game. And I find that works a lot better. It also works a lot faster. But again, experiment which grip works best for you. That's the one I like using though. Anyways, we're going to stop in the middle. Again, be prepared for that, and have your remote positioned again in the center but slightly to the left, and press A again to get back into it instantly, and then crank the rest of the way. Once arriving, skip a cutscene and then head down the stairs. So for that, I like to click on the entrance of the stairs, then pan down, click the bottom to keep Zack moving, and then once the palm tree comes in to screen, I click on that as well, and Zack heads over there. Then I have the remote position in the center of the screen to activate the tree. And from here I do lots of little shakes. Now you can do big shakes or little shakes. Either way, the same amount of shakes. It still takes the same amount of shakes to drop the coconut, but the small shakes have a smaller animation, so it is slightly faster from my experience. Now that drops down, the coconut will always land in the same position, so just practice aiming that to pick that up as fast as possible. And next you head up to the gondola, which for that I have the Wii remote pointed up to the top left corner of the screen, and that usually activates it straight away. So next, heading back up, we just start cranking all the way across. Now this is the difference between 80% and IL. In 80%, you're going to be slightly behind the cycle, so you aren't going to be able to go across this the full way. You'll get to the gondola and you might be able to do a few shakes and get to about here, but then you'll have to stop and you'll have to wait for the next cycle before you can go across the rest of the way. So it does take a bit longer. What you can do is you can try and do some small turns just to try and inch your way a bit closer during the time where you can't actually move. But be very careful and don't get too greedy with that, because it's very easy to die doing so. But yeah, just try and make it as close to the other side as you can before that cycle ends, and then wait for the next cycle to travel the rest of the way. But in ILs, if you're fast enough, you'll be able to make the full distance in the one cycle, saving some time. Anyways, next we head down to the rock, and as you can see, I sort of pressed down on the slope, then I panned across and I targeted here to keep Zack moving further, and then the rock comes on screen and I activate the rock. And so from here you start shaking the Wii remote to lift it up, but once you get to this position and Zack fully hoists the rock, you don't have to shake anymore. So what I do is I get my cursor and I aim it for the rock so that I'm in the right position to press on the hole instantly. As soon as that cutscene's done, you press minus and boom, there we are. I had my cursor in, I was able to line my cursor up in the right position very accurately. That will always work. The only issue that might come into play is the coins that shoot out of the rock. And when you break it, sometimes that might get in the way and you might accidentally press a coin. If so, just press A again in the same position and head to the hole after you pick up that coin. That just comes down to RNG though. Next we have this coconut here. We're just gonna, now there's two ways to drop items. You can either flick the Wii Remote up and it tosses it, or you can turn the Wii Remote and it just drops it. The turning animation is faster. So we're gonna skip that cutscene. And we want to grab a sleeping mushroom. There's 3 of them there. So you want to make sure you grab the one closest to you so you don't have to walk a bit further to pick up one of the 2 back ones. Just practice aiming where that is. It's just a bit to the left and below the center of the screen. And then you can see, whilst I'm picking that up, I already swung my cursor over to where the vine was, so I had it positioned and ready. Anyways, when you get down here, before heading straight to the soup pot, you want to press around this area to go closer to the snake so you can itemize it. And then head to the soup pot. And again, try and do a fast itemization. So I didn't do that here. But normally if you just do a single swing, Zack will do like a single swipe of the bell, and that is enough to itemize a creature. And that is a much, much shorter animation. So whilst the thing is still itemizing, you can start walking to the soup pot. Practice doing that. It's usually just one swipe of the Wii Remote like that, rather than a bunch of shaking like what I did in this run, and that'll be a bit faster. It'll allow you to start moving quicker than doing like several swings of the bell. Now when we get to here, we can do what's called a fast drop. So you'll see if I play this video, I already had the mushroom partially tilted, like that, before the Wii grip already comes into play. And that is because I'm doing the turn instead of the flip. That doesn't work on the coconut hole, but it works on this and the key drop in Mad Science. So just start turning it as soon as you're moving your hand forward, turn it, and then just smash A to get rid of the Wii grip controls as fast as possible. And as you can see, you just about drop it instantly as soon as the Wii grip controls are gone. Next, you want to move down, you want to pick up the Slither Gripper. For this, no matter what you do, where you click, you will always move down to the base of the stairs and then stop. So as you can see, what I did just before was I clicked like towards the stairs. It didn't really matter where I clicked because I would always get down to the bottom and then stop. And so while Zack is moving down the stairs, I then position my cursor ready to pick up the Slither Gripper as soon as he stops. Done. Pick it up. And then it's time to head over to the ladle. Now, I did that in 2 movements. I pressed here and there. What you can do is you can do it in 1 movement and just press the ladle off screen. Really just aim your remote to the far right, relatively center, and you should be able to activate the ladle from your initial starting position. Okay, from here, I just keep the remote in the center. I press A, then I press A again and flick up, and it sort of teleports the Slither Gripper snaps to the center, grabs it, and then the flick up dislodges it. There's a bit of text to skip, and then pick up the ladle, which will always be in the same position again. Then you want to aim for the gong. Now make sure you do a hard hit on the gong, because you can do a soft hit, and that actually won't alert the goblins of your presence, so you'll be wasting time having to hit it again. Now, this is another part that differs in IL and 80% slightly. So here you want to press on the vine, and once you press the vine, you actually lose control of Zack. Like, you can't, once you've issued the command to activate the vine, you can't actually then stop moving towards the vine. So in 80%, it doesn't really matter too much. Like, you can press on the ground, walk here, and then activate the vine, and that's fine. But because in ILs, you can actually skip cutscenes, as soon as you press the vine, you can skip the rest of the movement because it becomes a cutscene. You can't control Zack anymore, so you can skip it instantly. So, for example, if I were to do the same thing as I said you can do in 80%, click here, move here, then click the vine, I can only skip climbing up the vine. If I'm standing here, though, and I click the vine, I can skip moving all the way around the pot and climbing up the vine. So for this, in IL, the sooner you click the vine, the better, because the more time you can skip, the more movement you can skip. In 80%, it doesn't matter because you can't skip anyways, so you can move around in a few more, you can like take a few more movements to get closer to the vine and then activate it. You won't lose time. You can see there that I skipped moving around the pot by pressing on the vine relatively quickly. And then I head over, I pick up the flute, and I head up to the pit. So the way I like to move there is I like to click on the stairs, and then click at the base, and then once I'm there, I just click on the pedestal as soon as possible, and then I bring the Wii Remote like right down straight to activate it again to move in closer to play the flute. Now the flute is going to come down to lots of practice. I hold it to the side, and again, just practice this a lot to do it as fast as possible. You can do it insanely fast, but it'll just come down to practice. I recommend you prioritize accuracy over speed with this. It's better to take a bit more time and make sure you get it right than to try and go as fast as possible and mess it up. But the more you practice, the more comfortable you should be with going faster, and eventually you'll be able to play it relatively quickly. So yeah, there's no like real tricks other than practice. But yeah, for the next part, I like to press below Zack, and then I like to pan the camera down to the bottom of the stairs to get into the soup pit, because movement from the flute back into the soup pit can be a bit tricky sometimes. So that's how I like to do it. And then once I'm in the soup pit, I just click on the vine. And whilst climbing up the vine, I'm positioning my cursor to activate the gondola again. We swing across, and then we head to the chest. Now, you can go around the chest to the right, or you can go around to the left. Make sure you go around to the left, because that's much less movement, it's much quicker. So I like to, there's a few things you can do. You can either press in front of the chest or on the chest, and Zack will move to the front. But because we're going to stop behind the chest to ring the bell and itemize him, what we can do is we can just press anywhere to the left of the chest, and then once I'm in the back corner, I'll ring the bell, exercise the ghost, and then I'll just click on the chest again to move into the front during the bounce animation and open that. And that there is how to speedrun 3 Colossi for IL, and I mentioned the differences for any percent, it's just a couple of cycle changes. Anyways, now I'm going to play the full level uninterrupted for you to see, and then I'll see you after that. While the chef is there, all going out into the pit before poisoning them. I mean, I'm sure they just call over all the goblins and it's a massive gangbang or something. Okay, good, it got started straight away. Okay, this movement's a lot better. He's gonna get cucked by the flute again. That's about as good as we're gonna get. Okay, that was really good movement. Flute could have been slightly fast, but otherwise movement in that level is amazing. This should be it. Okay, and that there is my tutorial on how to speedrun Flute of the Growlin Goblins of both the IL and 80% categories. So this one implements a few new mechanics such as cycles, which limit the intervals in which you're able to save time in some areas, The main things to practice in this level is the movement, specifically areas such as activating the hole under the rock and moving from the flute area back to the chest, and of course playing the flute itself. In the next part, I'll be going over how to speedrun the Fountain Guardian, which will introduce some new things such as movement in water. I hope this video was able to help you pick up some small tips and tricks to help with your runs, and I'll see you all next time.